Hello, and welcome to this explainer. I am just so very glad you decided to spend some time with us today. If you can, find a really comfortable place to sit right now. Maybe get yourself a warm cup of herbal tea, settle in, take a nice deep breath, and let's just slow everything down. We're going to spend this next stretch of time talking about something truly fascinating that is happening inside of you every single night, completely quietly and without making any fuss at all. You see, while you lay down to rest in your bed, while your eyes finally close and your mind powers down from the busy, noisy day, there is a part of you that is actually just clocking in for its hardest work. We are going to talk about your liver today, and specifically, we're going to talk about the gentle night shift it runs while you are fast asleep. Most of us, we have absolutely no idea that from about 10 o'clock at night onward, this incredible, hardworking organ, the very one that filters every drop of your blood, breaks down all your daily medications, and decides whether the fat from your meals gets safely stored away or actively burned for energy, it actually shifts into a dedicated, heavy-duty repair mode for the night. It's like a factory night crew coming in to clean up. And the really beautiful, empowering truth we are going to explore today is that what you choose to eat in that single quiet hour before you go to bed either gives your liver the exact tools it needs to do that vital job, or it hands it a massive stack of extra work that it simply cannot finish by morning. So I promise you, we are not going to rush today. We are going to walk through this slowly, comfortably, and clearly, step by step.
Dr. John Myers is a wonderful physician who has spent the last 15 years watching a very quiet health problem turn into a serious one for so many older adults. He says something that I just love. He says, "I want you living longer, stronger, and healthier well past the age everyone told you to slow down." I really want to speak directly to you right now, especially if you're over the age of 60, or maybe you're in your 70s or your 80s and you've been quietly worrying to yourself that maybe you have left things too late. Maybe society or even well-meaning friends have convinced you that the wear and tear you feel is just a permanent, unavoidable part of getting older. Well, I am here to tell you, directly from the medical sources we are unpacking today, that you absolutely have not left it too late. Not at all. It is a wonderful, incredibly hopeful fact of human biology that your liver is one of the only major organs in your entire body that can genuinely repair itself. It can literally heal. It can regenerate new, healthy tissue. But it can only do that once we stop inadvertently overloading it and start gently, intentionally giving it exactly what it needs to do its job. So please, let that comfort you as we move forward together today. You are entirely capable of turning things around, and I'm going to show you exactly how.
I want us to linger for a moment on one very important, kind of shocking statistic. Just 2 words: 1 in 3. Right now, nearly 1 in 3 adults is walking around with extra fat packed tightly inside their liver. 1 in 3. Think about your close circle of friends. Statistically, one of you is dealing with this. And you know what the most surprising part of this is? Almost all of them feel perfectly, completely fine. They go about their days, they run their daily errands to the grocery store, they spend joyful time with their children and grandchildren, and they have absolutely no idea that anything is wrong inside their bodies. Why is that? Well, it's because a struggling liver simply does not hurt. Our bodies are wonderfully, miraculously designed, but in this one specific instance, there is a catch. There are no pain nerves inside the liver to send up a warning flag to your brain to tell you, hey, I'm struggling down here. By the time this problem finally shows up on a routine blood test at your doctor's office, that damage has been quietly, silently building up for years and years. It is a quiet problem, it's an invisible one. But today we are shining a very gentle, clear light on it so you can take your power back into your own hands before it ever becomes an emergency.
Let's look at how this builds into the medical side of things. Now, I promise you, we will keep this very simple. No confusing textbook jargon here. You might hear your doctor use the term hepatic steatosis. It sounds really intimidating, doesn't it? Very clinical. But all hepatic steatosis actually means is fat sitting where it does not belong. Let's break that down methodically together. I want you to imagine a factory. It's supposed to be clean, organized, and running efficiently. But slowly, over time, boxes of excess inventory start piling up in the hallways because there's nowhere else to put them. That is exactly what happens with fat building up inside your liver cells themselves. And left alone, this misplaced fat begins to irritate the liver. It creates something called inflammation. I want you to think of this inflammation as a very low, simmering fire inside the organ. It's not a roaring blaze, but it's causing a sort of internal rusting over time. And this is the absolute crucial part to understand. If that low fire is allowed to burn for years and years, it eventually lays down scar tissue. And scar tissue, unfortunately, does not heal. It doesn't come back. The window where you can still turn this around, where you can reverse it, is the early window, right now, before the heavy scarring happens. And the truly wonderful news is, most people listening to this are sitting right in that early window today.
Every single evening in kitchens all over the world, we face a daily crossroads. It's a very quiet choice we make. We can choose the traditional, comforting late-night snacks. You know, a bowl of sweet ice cream, a fistful of salty crackers, maybe a sweet glass of juice. Or we can choose what we are going to call healing evening fruit. Let's take some extensive time to really understand why this specific choice is so wildly pivotal for your health. Remember that night shift factory we just talked about? The evening hours are your daily chance to use that healing window instead of accidentally wasting it. When your very last food of the day is a bowl of ice cream or a plate of crackers, you are literally flooding your hardworking liver with heavy sugar and fat at the exact, precise moment it was just about to start cleaning house. It is exactly like dumping a massive truckload of new paperwork onto a worker's desk right as they are trying to sweep the floors, turn off the lights, and finally go home. So instead of burning fat overnight like it wants to, your liver has to spend the entire night frantically storing all that new sugar. Do that every night for 10 or 20 years, and the fat builds up. But if we choose the right, gentle, healing fruits, we actually hand the liver the specific, delicate tools it needs to clear out the waste, catch up on its backlogged work, and soothe that low, simmering fire.
So here is our comfortable roadmap for the rest of our time together today. We'll start by looking a little closer at your liver's night shift. Then, we're going to take our time exploring the first 4 healing fruits, followed by 3 more wonderful options. After that, we must pause for a very serious but calm warning about grapefruit. Then, I'm going to share a beautiful, true story about a woman named Patricia. And finally, we will wrap up with your bedtime plan, a gentle, unintimidating list of steps you can take starting tonight. No rushing.
Let's step right into Section 1, your liver's night shift.
And we'll move smoothly right along into our second section, introducing the first 4 healing fruits. These are your gentle tools for the night shift.
Now, before we discuss our very first healing fruit, I really want to take a gentle moment to expand deeply on a concept called the fasting window. This is absolutely crucial, and it's something almost no one explains to you in a rushed 12-minute doctor's office visit. Your liver is the absolute busiest factory in your body, bar none. The fasting window is that quiet, beautifully uninterrupted stretch of time from your very last bite of food at night all the way until your very first bite of breakfast the next morning. This window is the only time the liver is truly meant to empty its tank. During this window, when you aren't actively digesting a meal, the liver does its heavy lifting. It physically pulls fat out of storage and burns it for fuel. It diligently packages up the waste and the toxins from your day to be cleared out of your system. It even repairs its own cells from the daily wear and tear. But all of this magic happens only if we give it the right environment right before that window opens. To do that, we use healing fruits as highly specialized tools. Every fruit we are about to discuss does one of 3 very specific jobs during the night. They deliver powerful antioxidants that act like little mops cleaning up damage. They carry soft fiber that feeds your gut bacteria and stops toxins from flowing up to the liver. Or they contain unique plant compounds that physically flip a switch in your liver, changing it from storing fat back into burning it. And wonderfully, every single one of these fruits is low enough in sugar that you can enjoy it at night without spiking your blood sugar. Which brings us to our very first fruit, the beautiful, tart, bright green kiwi. It earns this bedtime slot more than almost anything else we will talk about today. Most of us just think of a kiwi as a fuzzy little fruit packed with vitamin C. And it is. One single kiwi covers most of your day's vitamin C needs, which matters greatly because your liver rapidly burns through antioxidants overnight. But the real reason we are focusing on kiwi specifically at night is what it does to your sleep. Kiwi is actually one of the very few foods in the entire world that is naturally high in serotonin. Serotonin is the calming chemical your own brain uses to help you wind down, feel peaceful, and drift off. Researchers at Taipei Medical University conducted a fascinating study where they had people eat just 2 kiwis about an hour before bed. Within a few short weeks, those people were falling asleep faster, and much more importantly, they were staying asleep longer. Why does this matter for the liver? Because your liver does its deepest, most profound repair work during your deepest, most uninterrupted phases of sleep. If you sleep badly, or toss and turn, or wake up constantly, your liver never gets to finish its full night shift. So a fruit that naturally deepens your sleep is quietly, powerfully protecting your liver through the entire night.
Let's transition to our second healing tool, the humble, wonderful blueberry. This tiny fruit carries some of the absolute strongest direct evidence for liver healing in all of the scientific literature. What makes a blueberry that deep, beautiful, rich blue color is a specific pigment called anthocyanin. Now, I want you to think of anthocyanins as natural cooling agents. Remember that low, simmering fire of inflammation in a struggling fatty liver we discussed earlier? In clinical trials, concentrated anthocyanins actually lowered the specific liver enzymes that signal liver stress. These are markers on your doctor's blood test called ALT and AST. You might have seen those letters on your own paperwork. When your liver cells are inflamed and leaking because of that simmering fire, those numbers climb.
The anthocyanins in blueberries do two magnificent things simultaneously. First, they act like a soothing, cooling balm to literally calm the inflammation inside the liver. Second, they actually appear to slow down the liver's own internal machinery that makes and stores new fat. A small handful, just about a half cup of fresh or frozen blueberries, is absolutely perfect. And by the way, frozen is actually wonderful because they are picked at peak ripeness and flash frozen, locking in all those deep blue healing pigments. It is quite literally some of the cheapest, most effective liver insurance you can possibly find in your local grocery store.
Now, this next healing tool surprises almost everyone who hears it. Yes, botanically speaking, the avocado is indeed a fruit, and for your liver, it is an absolute powerhouse. I want to gently reassure you right now, please do not fear the fat in an avocado. So many people in their 60s and 70s grew up in the 1980s and 90s hearing the word fat and immediately panicking, because we were told all fat was bad. But that fear is costing people dearly. The fat in an avocado is monounsaturated fat. It is the exact same healthy, soothing, highly protective family of fats as olive oil. It is incredibly liver-friendly and actually helps pull the unhealthy, stubborn fat out of your liver. But the true deep magic of the avocado is that it is extraordinarily rich in something called glutathione. Glutathione is the absolute master antioxidant of the human body. It is the primary tool, the main cleaning crew, that your liver uses to detoxify every single thing that passes through your blood overnight. As we get older, our bodies naturally produce far less glutathione on their own, and a fatty liver burns through what little we do have very fast. Eating a quarter or a half of an avocado in the evening beautifully replenishes this exact cleaning system. Furthermore, its rich, dense fiber makes you feel wonderfully full and satisfied, which naturally and comfortably stops that nagging late-night urge to raid the pantry for the sugary snacks that would completely wreck your liver's hard work.
Our fourth fruit is the red grape, and the deep color here is the whole point. The skin of a red or purple grape is absolutely loaded with a plant compound called resveratrol. Over the last decade, resveratrol has become one of the most heavily studied and respected molecules in aging and liver research. It is a brilliant little compound because it works by physically activating a set of internal switches within your cells. It tells your liver cells, hey, stop hoarding all this fat and start actively burning it for energy instead. It also forms a protective shield around the liver cells to guard against the oxidative stress, that internal rusting we talked about, that happens when the body processes fat overnight. Now, I do want to offer a very gentle caution here. Grapes are sweeter than the other fruits we have looked at so far, so portion control is key. We are talking about 10 to 15 red grapes, not a whole heaping bowl. And you absolutely must eat them whole, skin and all, because the skin is where the medicine lives. A wonderful, highly practical trick is to wash them and put them in the freezer. Freezing 10 to 15 grapes makes them take much longer to eat, and it feels like a very special, icy, refreshing dessert, which stops you from reaching for actual sugary ice cream.
Let's take a nice deep breath and gently transition into Section 3, More Healing Fruits. As we look at these next few options, I want you to keep that night shift factory analogy firmly in your mind. We are about to see how the health of your digestive system, your gut, is directly physically connected to the health of your liver, and how these next fruits act as brilliant messengers between the two. We see this connection absolutely brilliantly in the humble apple. You see, the apple works on your liver through a back door that most people never even think about, your gut. Apples are one of the absolute best sources on Earth of a specific soluble fiber called pectin. Let's take a slow moment to really understand how your body is plumbed on the inside. There is a direct, straight-line vein connecting your gut directly to your liver, and it is called the portal vein. I want you to think of it as a large pipe or a busy highway. When the pectin from an apple reaches your gut, it feeds the good, healthy, helpful bacteria living there. Those happy bacteria then produce soothing compounds that travel straight up that portal vein pipe right into the liver. They literally send a chemical message that says, hey, everything is calm and functioning perfectly down here in the gut. You can calm down too. Store less fat. We are safe. A healthy gut sends healthy, calming signals. A troubled, irritated gut, on the other hand, floods that exact same pipe with inflammation. An apple quietly and perfectly fixes the upstream end of that pipe. Plus, the skin of the apple contains quercetin, which is another powerful antioxidant that reduces fat buildup. So eat a whole skin-on apple, perhaps a nice tart Granny Smith, and try sprinkling it with a little real cinnamon for blood sugar balance. It is a perfect calming nighttime signal to your liver.
Next, we are going to look at a fruit that is so often ignored simply because it seems like a bit of a hassle to prepare, the beautiful pomegranate. But I assure you, it is deeply, profoundly worth the small effort. Those little ruby red seeds, which are formerly called arils, are packed with natural compounds called punicolagens. These are some of the most incredibly potent antioxidants found in the entire fruit kingdom,
Ounce for ounce, they're actually far stronger than green tea or even red wine. Let's go back to that idea of oxidative stress, that slow, internal rusting of a stressed fatty liver. Pomegranate seeds flood the liver with exactly the right compounds to quench that stress. They act just like a gentle, highly effective rust remover for your liver cells. The clinical research shows that consuming them leads to lower liver fat and much calmer liver inflammation over time. They also help the body handle triglycerides, which are the specific fats floating in your blood, assisting the liver in clearing them out of the bloodstream instead of packing them away in storage. Now, a very, very important note of caution here. You must choose the whole seeds, not the sugary bottled pomegranate juice from the grocery store. Those processed bottled juices strip out all the protective fiber and concentrate the sugar until it is basically just fruit-flavored soda, which will hurt your liver. Take a quarter to a half cup of the fresh seeds and enjoy them slowly with a spoon. It is serious, heavy-duty metabolic repair work, cleverly disguised as a tart, sweet dessert.
Our seventh fruit is one that very few people in this part of the world ever think to eat for their liver, the soft, soothing papaya. In many parts of the world where papaya naturally grows, it has been used as a gentle, reliable liver support for generations, and modern science is finally showing us exactly why. Papaya contains a very special naturally occurring enzyme called papain. Papain is remarkable because it actually helps your body break down proteins. Now, why does this matter right at bedtime? Because a sluggish, struggling digestive system puts an immense, heavy strain on your liver. The liver is trying its absolute best to run its night shift and clean house, but if your digestion is backed up or struggling to process dinner, the liver is constantly pulled away from its repair work to help manage that backlog. Papaya beautifully eases that digestive load, keeping things moving smoothly so the liver isn't interrupted. Additionally, a cup of cubed papaya is deeply packed with antioxidants like beta-carotene and vitamin C, which actively defend the liver cells against the exact damage that drives fat accumulation in the first place. Try a cup of cubed papaya with a gentle squeeze of fresh lime juice right over the top. The lime lifts the flavor beautifully and adds even more protective vitamin C to your evening routine.
Now I need to shift our tone just a little bit as we enter section 4. We really need to have a very cautious, very serious, but completely calm conversation about our 8th fruit. This is the grapefruit warning. Grapefruit is an incredibly powerful tool, but it requires your absolute, undivided, and careful attention before you even think about adding it to your evening routine.
Understanding this warning answers a very common question. Why are so many people, especially those over the age of 60, strictly warned by their doctors to stay far, far away from grapefruit? It is a bit of a paradox, you see, because on one hand, grapefruit is actually one of the single best fruits in the entire world for a fatty liver. It is incredibly rich in a phenomenal antioxidant called naringenin. That is exactly what gives the fruit its slightly bitter, crisp edge. Naringenin is a powerhouse that physically pushes the liver toward burning fat, reduces the stubborn fat stored inside the cells, and aggressively fights the inflammation that causes irreversible scarring. Ounce for ounce, almost nothing in nature does more for the liver. So why the strict, serious warning? We must look very closely at how it interacts with the rest of your body.
Inside your gut, you have a very specific, hardworking enzyme called CYP3A4. Its main vital job is to break down many very common prescription medications so your body can process them safely, use them, and then get rid of them. Grapefruit contains natural compounds that completely block this CYP3A4 enzyme. If that enzyme is blocked by the grapefruit, the medications you take cannot be broken down normally. Instead, those drugs build up in your bloodstream to much higher, potentially dangerous levels than your doctor ever intended. This is incredibly important if you take cholesterol statins, certain blood pressure pills, and several other very common daily medications. So I must be very direct and crystal clear with you right now. If you take any prescription medication at all, you must absolutely not add grapefruit to your diet until you have directly asked your doctor or your pharmacist if it is safe with your specific personal list of medications. For many people, it is totally fine. For some, it is decidedly not safe. Only your pharmacist can look at your list and tell you. Please take this seriously and ask before you eat it.
Let's take a collective breath, relax our shoulders, and bring our focus back to warmth and hope as we enter Section 5, Patricia's story. Sometimes all this science and talk of gut enzymes and strict medical warnings can feel just a bit overwhelming. So I really want to anchor everything we have learned today in a beautiful, true story. I want to introduce you to a woman named Patricia. Patricia is a real person, 64 years old, recently retired, and her story is going to show you exactly how gentle, how doable, and how possible this healing process truly is.
Let's look really closely at Patricia's journey. At age 64, Patricia came into her doctor's office feeling mostly fine, except for this incredibly heavy, unexplained tiredness that she just could not shake. No matter how much she rested or how early she went to bed at night, it felt like walking through mud. When the doctor ran her routine blood work, the story suddenly became clear. Her ALT, that liver enzyme we discussed earlier that signals a simmering fire, inflammation, and leaking cells, was quite high, and a routine ultrasound showed a moderately fatty liver. Patricia was completely stunned. She was not a heavy drinker, and she'd always assumed, like so many people do, that liver trouble was strictly a heavy drinker's problem. But she was sitting right in that early, quiet window of hidden liver fat. Now, they didn't start with a heavy prescription. They started with her evenings. Patricia had a very normal, very understandable habit of winding down every night with a bowl of cereal or a couple of sweet cookies right before bed, completely accidentally flooding her liver's night shift with sugar. So, she made a tiny, manageable swap. Instead of the cookies, she started having a kiwi and some blueberries. On other nights, she had a little avocado on toast or an apple with cinnamon. After checking with her pharmacist to be absolutely sure it was safe, she occasionally had grapefruit. She also added a simple, 10-minute walk around her neighborhood after her dinner. Just 3 months later, only 90 days, her blood work was checked again. Her ALT markers had come all the way down toward the perfectly normal range. The heavy, dragging tiredness had completely lifted. Her liver was simply doing what a liver naturally does when you stop fighting it: clear the backlog and give it its night shift back. It wasn't a miracle, it was just gentle, daily consistency.
Which brings us beautifully to our final section, your bedtime plan. The hard science is over. You have learned all about the fasting window, the antioxidants, and the portal vein pipe. Now it is time to look at incredibly simple, unintimidating, and highly practical steps that you can take starting this very evening, right in your own kitchen. You do not have to change your whole life today. We are just going to look at your evenings.
Let's start with a beautiful little recipe that Dr. Myers calls the Bedtime Liver Tonic. I am going to read this slowly, like a friend sharing a favorite treat with you in your kitchen. Into a blender, you drop 1 whole kiwi. If you can scrub it and leave the fuzzy skin on, wonderful. If not, peeled is perfectly fine. Add a small handful of those cooling blueberries, about 1/4 cup. Next, drop in 1/4 of an avocado to provide that master antioxidant, glutathione, and that filling, healthy fat so you don't wake up hungry in the middle of the night. Then, pour in about 1/2 cup of plain unsweetened kefir. Kefir is a cultured dairy drink that brings massive amounts of healthy probiotics straight to your gut, supporting that amazing gut-liver connection we talked about with the apple. Add a splash of water to loosen the mixture and a nice warming shake of real cinnamon. Blend it all until it is completely smooth. That is it. It's wonderful. Now, if your stomach is a little sensitive to dairy at night, do not worry. Simply skip the kefir and use plain water. It works beautifully. Drink this about an hour before bed. It gives your body exactly what it craves to do its vital repair work comfortably while you sleep.
Now, let's walk methodically through 5 gentle steps to guide your evenings from now on. Step 1. Try to close your kitchen just a little bit earlier. Make your last food of the night one of these healing fruits instead of a heavy starch or a sweet, so your liver starts its night shift with an empty inbox, completely ready to work. Step 2. You do not need to go to the grocery store tonight. Just look in your kitchen, pick one fruit from our list that you already have, and enjoy a small portion an hour before bed. Step 3. When you finally have the ingredients on hand, try blending that delicious liver tonic we just discussed. Step 4. This is absolutely deeply vital. Add a simple, easy 10-minute walk after your dinner. This is so deeply important because gentle walking causes your leg muscles to physically pull sugar directly out of your bloodstream to use for energy, meaning that sugar never even reaches the liver in the first place. You are physically doing the work for it, easing its burden beautifully. And step 5, if you take any prescription medications, please, right now, write down a little note to ask your pharmacist this week if grapefruit is safe for you.
We have covered so much wonderful healing ground together today. You now have the knowledge and the tools to protect and support your liver through its entire crucial night shift. But you know, eating the right fruit at night is really only half the picture. The other half of the story is what you do when you first wake up in the morning. There are a few very ordinary morning habits, things you might be doing every single day with the absolute best of intentions, that quietly feed a fatty liver and completely undo all the beautiful restorative healing work you just did overnight. In our next explainer, we are going to explore exactly what those morning mistakes are and how to fix them just as simply and gently as we did today. Thank you so much for spending this unhurried time with me today, for slowing down, and for learning how to deeply, truly care for yourself. I am so proud of you for taking these steps. I look forward to seeing you next time. Keep going. You are doing wonderfully.